Mr. President, if you recall, I brought a motion on the menace of Almajiri system in northern part of Nigeria. And this is what this bill is all about. What causes Almajiri system in northern Nigeria is child destitution. Parents throw their children on the street without giving them proper upbringing. It is very common to find one person having over 30 children, and there is no way he can cater for them because he doesn't have the means of doing that. Probably he's in a salary or grade level 6, 7, or even 8. And there's no way he can cater for 30 or 40 children. Maybe he has about 3 or 4 wives. Mr. President, we must look at the population control. Attempts have been made in the past to really control the population in Nigeria through legislation. If we don't do that, we'll continue to have child destitution. Mr. President, one of the major crises we are facing today, the insecurity, is because of child destitution. Most of the people that are involved in banditry, insurgency, and kidnapping is due to child destitution. If you have proper upbringing at home, there is no way you can engage in these vices. As for this reason, Mr. President, I support the second reading of this very important bill, and I urge all my colleagues to do the same. In addition to that, Mr. President, the Universal Basic Education Commission is supposed to handle this issue of Almajiri system, but it doesn't have the capacity to do that because of the financial resources available. But if we have a commission, or probably if we can convert the Universal Basic Education Commission into Child Destitution Commission and strengthen it with more funding, it will be able to take care of child destitution in Nigeria. Mr. President, our country will continue to have challenges of insecurity and banditry if we don't handle this issue of child destitution very well. So there is no better time. I agree with what Senator Wamako said. There is no better time to do that than now. And my colleagues should act. This is a national problem. It is not limited to a particular zone or a particular state. It affects the whole country. If we don't control it, it will certainly consume the whole of this country. Only recently in Ondo, we had that ISWAP went and killed over 40 people in the church. Tomorrow it could be in Lagos. Next tomorrow it could be in Calabar or in Kebbi or in Damaturu or even in Maiduguri. So, Mr. President, we should act now, and after getting this bill passed, we should ensure that it is signed by Mr. President or accepted by Mr. President, and implementation should start immediately. This is one legislation that the Senate should do. Remember, it is in our legislative agenda, and we are responding to the yearnings and calling of the people in Nigeria. So the time to act is now, and we should do it immediately. Thank you very much.
I remain Senator I.D. Jiang, representing the very blessed people of Plateau North. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise in support of the second reading of this very important bill and to commend Senator Wamako, His Excellency, for coming up with this strategic legislation, and to say that the establishment of the National Commission on Child Destitution will be very, very handy to address the malady of child destitution in this country. Mr. President, I want to also say that this commission is going to be one of the strategies of realizing one of the key provisions of the Child's Rights Act, which is already a legislation that has many states have domesticated. And to say that the two critical contributory factors in child destitution and homelessness has to do with abandonment of parental care, and secondly, abandonment of governmental responsibility. Parental care is a responsibility that should not and ought not to be outsourced, a trend that is largely responsible for the numerous street children that we have in our nation today. The sponsor of the bill has quoted about 10.5 million out-of-school children, or what we call street children, and 60% of that number are in the north. And it is very necessary that this issue has to be addressed. And as I said, parental responsibility is something that the commission, if established, will aggressively undertake enlightenment so that we come to a position where understand that while God allows us to have as many children as we desire, the attendant parental responsibility and care, in fact, the parental care is a mandatory responsibility. Governmental responsibility is embedding appropriate social security programs and projects that will address the issue of poverty, and also to ensure that the Commission undertakes, along with UBEC, provision for mandatory free primary education at the primary and post-primary level. And there is this issue that he has also highlighted. What we are witnessing, the insecurity that has worsened the situation of destitution, where whole communities are being displaced, and not only displaced, but being dislodged from their ancestral homes, that not only children, but whole communities are in destitution, many of whom are in IDP camps. So addressing the security situation is also necessary in addressing the overall quest to address child destitution in our nation. I therefore support wholeheartedly the bill as moved by the sponsor, and to urge our colleagues that we support this very strategic legislation to ensure that our children, the issue of Child Rights Act becomes embedded and becomes practical in our nation. Thank you, Mr. President.